Hi, my name is Charles Hughes, and I'm the host for tonight's show, Just Asking. Just Asking is produced by Access Sacramento, a Sacramento community cable station, and it's located in Sacramento, California. In this program tonight, we will have as our guest Shaun Olson, a fast-moving personality who has been modeling in Paris for the last 10 years while expanding her presence internationally, both in England and Africa. Hi, Shaun.
Hi.
Welcome to our show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Is Sacramento treating you well?
Very well.
And California?
California always.
Oh, very good,
always.
Very good. I just want to share with our audience that Shaun has Northern California roots. She has been crowned Mrs. America and recently has spread her influence in Africa to address children issues, especially the issue of children soldiers. But first, Shaun, what is it like being a top model, working for designers such as Chanel and Versace?
Wonderful. Thank you for your question. I did want to just say I was never Miss America.
Okay.
Yeah, actually I was Miss San Francisco.
Okay.
I was the first African American to be crowned Miss San Francisco.
Okay.
And I went on to be Miss California.
Uh-huh.
That honor was amazing because I was state selected, which means it was no competition necessary.
Okay.
So, but I do represent America in everything I do. And to be a top model, it's fantastic. It's a dream come true.
Uh-huh.
It allows me to explore so many different avenues.
Okay.
I write as well, and it's just given me the freedom to meet and connect and travel the world so I can be a voice, be an advocate for women and children's issues for Africa and around the world.
Now, what are the challenges of being a model? You know, all those beautiful clothes you have to work with and all the talent.
Oh, yeah, that's a nightmare.
What's a nightmare?
No,
about
it's
that?
not at all. It's fantastic. It's just a dream when you wear a garment that no one has seen before and you can wear it for the very first time and walk the runway and people see you in it. And but for me, I am a beauty model, so a lot of my pleasure comes from magazines and sharing my story and shooting, and even in that capacity too, though, wearing clothes that no one's seen and makeup and, you know, beautiful hairstyles and all of that it's fantastic. It's glamorous in that aspect.
I see. Now, we're glad to have you here for the television show, but of course, this is not your first experience with television, right?
No, I've done a lot of interviews, but I also work as a presenter. I kind of do your job too.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah, so I work as a presenter, and I've had a couple shows in the UK, and I do a lot of co-hosting events in Africa and throughout. And actually, I started here though. I started at home. Hosting events. It was Jeffrey's Inner Circle in Oakland, and I would host parties there, and they would have little DVDs after you can pick up. And all of my training was local, primarily the Bay Area, but all of my training was in California first.
Now I understand not only are you a professional model, but you've kind of expanded that opportunity to become a business owner, right? Could you explain the business that you're involved in, the modeling agency?
Yeah, with pleasure. I started a company, Allure Jatai, in 2001 with my best guy friend, Chris Williams. And we started this company really basically just to have something to do when I come home.
Okay.
It was just as genuine as that. To have an avenue that I could, have a forum rather that I can help girls who wanted to make the same transition as I did, or that I could produce things here when I'm home, maybe parties or after parties. We didn't really know, but we knew it would have a fashion meaning. But from having that, it has allowed me to do a lot of freelance as a model. And working in Africa, I saw that these women were just amazingly beautiful. All areas of Africa and the Middle East, just beautiful women, striking women, but they had no representation because they weren't American. And it's not as easy as it is for us to travel as it is for someone who's not American to travel. And I didn't know that. And so the company ended up being a PR company to allow models of color, primarily, we work with anyone who has talent, but primarily models of color to have an opportunity to come to the UK or to come to France and model. And so now we're trying to make that transition for women still in America to open the doors internationally.
And you developing them in this profession. But when a person comes in and talks to you, I mean, what do you look for? How do you select that next model, that next image? What do you look for?
Well, right now, all the women that I do work with are signed models. They're signed models, and they just haven't had an opportunity to work on an international playing field. But how I encourage girls is just natural talent. Everyone does not need to be a size 3. everyone doesn't even have to be 5'10" anymore. Kate Moss is 5'7". You know, but it's that X factor. It's that thing that is marketable, that you can sell, and that is different. And, you know, beauty is unique.
Okay. Now, for our audience now, who are some of the people out there that you know, really admire now who are doing what you're doing? And why?
Well, I'm kind of an old soul. Most of my admiration comes from women that have done it before me.
Okay.
My family, 100%. The women in my family are just divas,
Yes.
all of them.
Okay.
Then I grew up with Pam Grier. My dad was madly in love with Pam Grier. So seeing her everywhere, it was just, you know, I think she was an icon. To me, she was Black Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I would interchange the two. But then in the industry, Christy Brinkley, actually, she's a California girl. And she wasn't the typical model. She was full-figured for modeling, you know, and she was married to a rock star. So I would see her in like commercials, and I would see her in videos, and I was like, whatever she's doing, I want to do, you know. And but now there's so many great women outside of the industry to me that are fashion icons. J-Lo, I love. Oh, Diana Ross, a big influence for me. Oh God, Naomi, of course, she's still the queen, you know. So it's a lot.
Now, when we look at those old stars or those, you know, most, you know, those stars, what's the difference between their style and what was happening in modeling then to what's happening now? What's fresh now?
Well, what's happening now is it's going in two different directions. There is what we call avant-garde. And what avant-garde is larger than life. An example of that is Lady Gaga.
Yes.
What's different now is that you can be a rock star or an entertainer and you embody so much fashion that you're a fashion icon. Where before there were models, there were singers, there were more categories. And it was the larger than life, the Chers, the Diana Ross, who mixed that. It was fewer and far in between. Now, Beyonce is an icon in her own right, and she has her own style of fashion. Rihanna, big time, she's great. She has her own style of fashion. So now the entertainers are kind of marrying the fashion, where before it was just really, you're either a model, an actress, a singer, and now it's kind of all intertwined, you know. So does that make sense?
Yes. No, but that makes it more challenging for someone who's not a star to enter the profession.
No, not at all, because that was going to say it's going two different directions. Now, for the day in, day out working model, it's kind of more of a cookie board cutout. All Prada girls look the same. All Yves Saint Laurent girls look the same. All Gap girls look the same. Where back in the day, you knew a Christy Brinkley from a Neiman, from a Beverly Johnson, from a Naomi Sims, because they were the superstars of fashion. Now the superstars of fashion come with being an entertainer, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Where models are more just kind of through the thread of it. You know, there's only 10 supermodels, 10. You know, but how many models are there in the world? You know, so it's a bit different than it was then.
Now, what are the big houses that you look forward to working, you know, when you're in Paris? Where do you want to work?
There's nothing like Chanel.
Okay.
Why
is that?
Karl Lagerfeld is the man. Well, because Chanel is box standard luxury. It has never changed. She's never compromised. You know a Chanel outfit anytime you see it. It's signature pieces. And as a model, to align yourself with a signature, it feels for them that you're the creme de la creme. The advert that I did for Chanel was an eyeglass advert, which was major because it's all about Chanel shades. So for someone to see me and to say my face needs to embody these shades is a big honor.
Yes.
You know, so Chanel is big. Versace is still very big too. It's an Italian. It's led now by Donatella Versace, Versace's sister. I was able to work with Versace when he was alive. I did that here, actually, Macy's Passport. So that was a big honor. The Yves Saint Laurent, because he was the first international designer to embody Black models. He closed his show with all Black models. So that's significant as a Black American living abroad. Halston, Oscar de la Renta, still the haute couture, the true designers you always want to align yourself with.
Now, is the industry now starting to make some of their products affordable for the
yeah. Yves Saint Laurent was the first to do pret-a-porter. That means ready to wear. There's two different collections during Fashion Week. There's pret-a-porter and then there's haute couture. So you have the lower, still expensive by middle class standards, but the lower range line. So for example, in American terms, Ralph Lauren too is a big influence. I love him. Ralph Lauren, I have the Ralph Lauren collection, then you have the Polo collection. Now Polo is the ready to wear. That's the off the rack. Where the Ralph Lauren, you still get a Ralph Lauren suit, you get that tailored. That's the difference.
Now, of course, this is the celebrity part of it. the business side of it, and then we have the social things that you're interested in supporting. What's your connection with Africa right now?
Oh gosh, Africa is everything. The blood of me is Africa, you know, so to make that connection to go back was fantastic. I work a lot with Africa. I was able to host different events during the 2010 World Cup.
Okay.
First time the soccer event, which is the biggest sporting event in the world, was held in Africa, and it was during the time of Nelson Mandela. So that was just an amazing thing. So what I would do there is I would do fashion events. It was also their fashion week, so I was able to be a part of that, as well as hosting events, different shows, and allowing the international community to come in, my Black American and American of all races, brothers and sisters that came to Africa for the first time. I was able to kind of be their tour guide. I got to meet R. Kelly and walk him through the mall. That was fantastic. And he'd been to Africa one time. I think he was supposed to go, but he doesn't fly. So this was a big deal for him to fly all the way to South Africa. I was able to see the Black Eyed Peas while they were there. Shakira was there, and she spent the whole 6 weeks there too. So we were able to do entertaining things, and then after, during the days before the games, we were able to go to different orphanages and either bring awareness to things or to bring supplies, food, bring attention to things that sometimes are overlooked during such a larger-than-life experience as the World Cup.
Now, when you look at the issues that exist in Africa today, are you optimistic about what's going to happen there?
Yeah,
and
because
why?
it's just a larger example of what the whole world is experiencing. Africa is and has always been. Africa felt the ozone problem before anyone else. You know, it's always the kind of the blueprint of how everything else happens in the West. I'm optimistic because the people are optimistic, because the people don't feel down and out. It's anything but just impoverished in war. It's anything but those things. Actually, they think that America's quite scary, to tell you the truth, what they see in the news. So it just shows you,
a lot of people.
yeah, what would show you is just propaganda and how true and real propaganda is. But I'm optimistic because the people are. And outside of Africa, I work with a lot of African companies in France, and they're very optimistic.
Okay. Now, I noticed that in some of the magazines that you're featured in many of the magazines. Would you mention some of the magazines that you're featured in, and which countries they're from?
Well, I've done a lot of covers internationally, but every month you can find me in a magazine called Amina. Amina was the first Black magazine for women in the world before Essence. Essence is a predecessor of Amina magazine.
Okay.
So I have a face advert that's in there for a company that I represent. Also Diva magazine, Chocolate magazine, Miss Ben magazine. Those are monthly things that I'm in, and they're sold here, but they're in French. They're Francophone magazines.
Right. Now let's go back to the web now, back to your company. I forgot to ask you, what is your website name so we can share it with
Sure. The company is Allure Jatai, and the company's website is allurejatai.com, and that's spelled ELLUREJATIE. So Allure Jatai, it means to entice with beauty, style, and substance. I think all is necessary in the world.
And you mentioned style and so forth. What is the lifestyle of a supermodel? I mean, what's that like?
Oh,
you
you're very kind, my dear.
Is it very boring?
Not so boring. Supermodel is a huge title, but that's very nice of you. It's not so boring at all. It's very interesting, but there's a lot of downtime and it's a lot of alone time. And that's something I try to get across to young girls who are coming into the industry. It's not all puffy P. Diddy champagne parties by any means, you know. It's a lot of downtime. It's a lot of wait. It's a lot of castings. What we in fashion, what we call an audition is a casting, a go-see.
Okay.
It's a lot of those. You know, you have to really know that you're your business and take it as that and leave it outside. Don't take it home. Don't feel that you're not the prettiest or